Welcome back, my friends. I am Brian, and you are Chords and Notes Nation. Thank you so much for joining me today, wherever you are, whenever you are. You are here today because we have a new one from Steven Wilson Jr. This is the official music video to the song Gary. This was put out 7 days ago at the time I'm recording this reaction. I like Steven Wilson Jr. I discovered him musically last year, and I really appreciate just that authentic sound that he has. That just it's kind of like grounded in the Bruce Springsteen type grain of texture, but definitely has his own flavor to it. I'm looking at below the video in the description box. There are lyrics, so I'll take a look at that. But he sings pretty clearly. I don't have any other information regarding this song, though, so we will have to do our own interpretation. So if you are ready, I am ready, and why don't we get rolling? Huh. Why would someone do that? That's interesting.
You gonna play something good for us this morning?
Gary these days been lying in his bed made, working on the same car going on a decade. Scribbles on junk mail don't draw attention. I never really noticed, but now that I mention it, there ain't a lot of boys named Gary these days, born with a cigarette glued to the face. Fix about anything a hammer can't handle, saving all the money cause a Gary don't gamble. Ain't a lot of girls going by Debbie anymore, but they got the same nicotine pouring out the pores. Time leaves town, but the minute hand stays. There ain't a lot of boys named Gary these days. Gary these days been worried about the bad news. There ain't a lot of teenagers filling up the church pews. Burning bush lights don't talk to his brother. Do people even still say grace before supper? Hey, there ain't a lot of boys named Gary these days, born with a cigarette glued to the face. Fix about anything a hammer can't handle, saving all the money cause a Gary don't gamble. Ain't a lot of girls going by Debbie anymore, but they got the same nicotine pouring out the pores. Time leaves town, but the minute hand stays. There ain't a lot of boys named Gary these days. Every now and then gets the damn thing running, takes it out for a spin first week in May. He believes in God, but believes in God. Open black down priest on the stone knees.
We'll burn this place down. Hands up! Give me the money. Right now. Hey, help me, buddy. Come on. Hurry up! Let me see your hands. Hands up! Hands up! Michael! Come on. Hurry up!
I had a weird suspicion with the light out on the front porch. A hard medication poured down where the drain pours. He holds his left arm while his parakeet prays. much of Gary these days? Has anybody seen much of Gary these days?
Good luck finding all that money.
Poor Gary.
In loving memory of Gary Russell and Carl Lee Certain Sr. Huh. I know. I gotta quit. Just let it ride to the end. Interesting. It's an interesting story. So here we have a story of this guy named Gary that and really that is not a name that's really given to kids anymore. So it sort of is a dated name that kind of goes back to earlier decades and sort of is a personification of a type of person, you know. And I'm actually curious here. I don't know if there is a certain meaning of the name Gary. It's of Old English, Germanic, and Old Norse origin, meaning spearman, spear carrier, or spear strength. Originally derived from the Germanic element gar. It evolved from a surname into a popular masculine name given in the early 20th century, often associated with strength, leadership, and a straightforward vibe. Yeah, primarily a given name. It is also used as a diminutive or nickname for names like Gareth, Garrett, Garth, or Gerald. Okay. Yeah, and I mean, okay, so he's talking about this kind of guy who works hard, he doesn't gamble. There's sort of this aura, this era that's going on. Where he's Gary's he can fix about anything a hammer can't handle, and he's saving all his money because of Gary don't gamble. Saving all their money because of Gary don't gamble. Time leaves town, but the minute hand stays. Ain't a lot of boys named Gary these days. Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. Worried about the bad news. worried about. There ain't a lot of teenagers filling up the church pews, drinking bush lights, burning bush lights. Don't talk to his brother. Do people even say grace before supper? So sort of this idea of where how times have changed, and Gary is sort of the personification. Yeah, and he may be referring to specifically a person, but I think he's sort of going through this personification of the difference between then and now, and how things have changed. And Gary's kind of he's stuck in the way that he does things, but he sees the way that things are, and he's not really happy with it. You know what I mean? So he goes and robs the bank, and then he doesn't take the money for himself. He just gives it to everyone else. I had a weird suspicion with the light out on the front porch, heart medication poured down where the drain pours. He holds his left arm while his parakeet prays. Has anybody seen much of Gary these days? Yeah, and he died. Yeah, I think there's a couple of things going on here. I think he's telling the story of someone, but I also think that story is sort of, I'm trying to think of the word. It's just sort of a personification of a spirit, of a time, and how things just aren't what they used to be. You know, this hardworking guy who does what he does. Ain't a lot of singers like Steven these days, that's true. I can't think of a better Gary to be in this video. Gary Sinise Foundation. So I wonder what this is. How this is tied into Steven Wilson Jr. Gary Sinise. Who is Gary Sinise? Everybody's like, is that Gary Sinise? Let me see here. I know I'm kind of rambling on this. He's an actor. Yeah, that was Gary Sinise. But what did he do? 71 years old. So he was in Forrest Gump, CSI Of Mice and Men, Ransom, The Green Mile. Oh, I haven't seen that in a while. Apollo 13, Snake Eyes, Mission to Mars. I've seen some of these movies here. I didn't know. Okay. Well, good. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Yeah. Wow. I don't watch a lot of movies, folks, so I didn't recognize him. Very cool. Yeah, I just, I like how Steven Wilson he's just got a way of being middle America. Down to earth, honest, authentic, nothing flashy, hard working, blue collar type music, telling stories that have deeper meanings. Very cool. I like this one. All right, guys, that's all I have for this. God bless you. Jesus loves you. I will talk to you in the next video.